Welcome back to court number 1. Barry Milnes alongside Naomi Cavaday for the first of our women's semi-finals, the UK Pro Series Classic Week. A tremendous match to start things off today, and hopefully this one will live up to it as well. It certainly should do, bearing in mind the calibre of the two players who are going to be competing in our first semi. Harriet Dart against Emma Raducanu will be the matchup. Dart, who was the standout in her box A of the women's round robin stage. Great run of victories that she had in that. In fact, scored 14 of the 15 points possible. Raducanu runner-up in Group B, hence the matchup today. Okay, let's get into the action here for Dart and Raducanu. This is the first of the women's semi-finals. The other one to take place a little later on between Jodie Burridge and Eden Silver. It should also be a cracking contest. But in terms of what these two have done, Naomi, we'll profile firstly Emma Raducanu at 17 years of age. Her WTA ranking currently 336. In terms of where she stands in the British game, well, her current ranking of 13 in the British sphere. She's had some injury herself. She hasn't played a lot of tennis, but of course Harriet Dart has not played a lot coming into this week recently. So what of Raducanu? She battled through yesterday. She really had to work hard against Gray to work that one out and come through in a match tiebreaker. Just a very impressive young player with a lot of game and a lot of good temperament. Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge amount to like about Emma Raducanu. I mean, the game is excellent. There's just no vulnerabilities whatsoever. Forehand looks good, backhand serve, the movement. She's got a really aggressive mindset as well. And the attitude, the application is just, you know, it's just so far beyond her years. Yesterday it was tough going against Beth there. It was really difficult to get through her, and she really managed that well. So she gets on with business. As I say, a lot to like. She likes to dictate. Still lots to learn, as you say, like only 17 years old, but yeah, really enjoy watching her. Harriet, some 7 years older, her ranking on the tour of 147, and in terms of where she stands in the British game right now, she's the number 3, and obviously enjoyed some notable moments in the last couple of seasons, particularly Wimbledon last year, where she made the 3rd round of the main draw. A couple of very good wins there. She also reached the semi-finals of the mixed doubles there the year previously with Jay Clark. They eventually got beaten by Jamie Murray and Victoria Azarenka, no less. But all those kind of experiences add to the game for Dart, and she's kind of downplayed her recent form, as we say, because she hasn't had a lot of matches, and yet what a week she has had. What is it about her game that is so impressive to you? Well, for me, so much about the Dart game is about her as a person. She is incredibly stubborn on the court in a really good way, in all of the ways that you look for in a tennis player. She is determined to win matches, such a fighter. And actually, she's
for me, she's one of the best I've ever met at being able to dismiss something. She can get very, very angry and upset about something, but then it's just gone. She just moves on. She's incredibly good in that way. She's got a really strong first serve. When that gets popping, that is incredibly impressive. The backhand's the more natural shot, but the forehand has come on leaps and bounds, and she can really crack it. She loves to get on the front foot, take it down the line, and hit a few winners.
Well, this is getting TV coverage available all around the place, but in terms of exposure, sometimes there's no hiding place on a court, and for some players it might have been too much. She was double bageled, wasn't she, by Sharapova in a Grand Slam, you know, last year, and yet she's learned, she's developing the game, she's taken it on the chin, and you have to do that as a professional sports person in whatever sport it is, but particularly in tennis, the one-on-one nature of it and the way that you can't sort of hide behind the team. It's tough, and it's a real testing ground, and yet she certainly seems to have learnt a lot already, and hence, you know, where she now is in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty rough to try and deal with that, especially because she'd come through qualifying. She'd won 3 matches to qualify there, had really earned her spot, earned that opportunity against Sharapova. It was the first time she had qualified for the main draw of a slam outside of some wildcards she had at Wimbledon.
Yes.
So to be on that stage was absolutely huge. But, as you say, how she learnt from that, yes, she was a little overwhelmed in that particular match, but how she learnt from that, well, then she qualified at the US Open, and then she qualified again and won a round of the main draw at the Australian Open before losing to Harriet Dart. Also reached the 3rd round of Wimbledon after getting a wild card, and that was right off the back of losing to Sharapova, love and one, and feeling a little bit embarrassed about that situation. So just proving that, you know, 3 times she's qualified for the main draw of a slam and she's reached the 3rd round of Wimbledon, that she can comfortably play at that level. It's now just about getting enough matches at the right tournaments so that the ranking matches that.
At 17, Raducanu obviously has even more years on her side, fitness permitting and health, etc. Hopefully there'll be a great career ahead of her. Where do you see her right now and the potential for her going forward?
There's bags of potential, that's for sure. She's sitting at 330-ish, and the next goal is to get into the Grand Slam qualifying. So that is around 220, but if you kind of pitch yourself at 200, you'll be looking fairly good. Then you get 4 big opportunities, like we've seen with Harriet Dart, to actually go on some runs and learn against the best. So once she gets there, we'll have to wait and see, but she'll definitely be there soon enough.
So we are ready to go for our first women's semi-final here, and it will be Raducanu to start. Power off the backhand. And you'll see that off both wings from her, and great to land one straight away like that for a clean winner. Began the week in fine fashion, 3 straight sets wins. Wilson, Maloney and Appleton all comfortably beaten by her. Making full use of the court, Raducanu, but a gap found brilliantly by Dart there. So an immediate response from the Pool A winner, the Box A winner, against the runner-up from Group B. Jodie Burridge won Group B. She did beat Raducanu on day 4 here, but it was a match tiebreak required then. And then yesterday, Raducanu came from a set down to win a match tiebreak against Beth Gray. Gray, who'll be in action later on, in fact the last match of the day on this court against Naomi Brody. It's a shame. It was developing into a fine rally, but a ball straight across from the other court. And you can see both of them taking up strong position, patrolling the baselines. much either of them is prepared to come forward today. That might be key at certain stages. And there is a case in point. Moved gradually up, felt confident enough to do that, and dealt with a dipping ball very well on that volley.
Yeah, really going at Dart well here, Raducanu. Both of these players will want to try and take control. They won't necessarily enjoy being on the back foot.
Sets herself up to get through that shot with a lot of power. Dart having to deal with plenty of that throughout this match, no doubt. And that seals the deal on the opening game for Emma Raducanu. Calm, confident air about her, belief in her strengths, and applying some of those already impressively. The other match taking place on the adjoining court. Well, that's between Emily Appleton and Sonny Cartal. Cartal currently up 3-1 in their first set, and that is another third v fourth playoff match. The winner of that to take on either Naomi Brody or Beth Gray tomorrow. Mentioned the dart serve, and we're about to see the first one in competition today. British number 3, who was certainly warming up, practicing those earlier on when we came through. No, she read it well, anticipated the cross court and was there with a good volley herself, because that net cord somewhat played towards Raducanu's favour.
Yeah, this is a little bit of the difference that we'll see between these two. They're both big strikers, so it's easy to think they do similar things, but Dart tends to lean on the ball a little more. She's a bit taller as well, and she gets more angle off of her shot, does play with a bit more width. Ball is a bit flatter as well. Raducanu tends to be a bit more narrow.
Just checking with Jacob Miles, the umpire, how much that missed by. It's a second meeting for these two. A couple of years ago they met in Manchester, and Dart emerged the winner, 6-1 in the deciding set.
Well, we do know that the second serve of Dart is probably the most vulnerable game. It can be a little up and down, can be attackable. When she's feeling good with it, when she's feeling confident, it's actually really tough to try and deal with as the returner. But there just are matches where she just loses that confidence. And that's the trouble. If you rely on the confidence, it's not very reliable. The confidence, it comes and goes, really.
Easy power applied off the return, and already Raducanu threatening the highest ranked player here, British number 3, in a spot of bother on serve straight away. Of course, the higher you get in the game, the bigger the target on your back, and I sense that Raducanu is really aiming at the bullseye today already. She can break through here. It was a risky play and it backfires against Dart there, drawn in by the drop shot. Raducanu laps it up and leads 2-love in this opening set.
She just got completely disrupted in that game, didn't she, by those double faults. Definitely a little off-putting. She didn't miss by far. If she can maintain the first serve percentage a little better, I think that will definitely help her out.
Dart's run this week, well, it was 4 wins in a row. Excuse me, 3 wins in a row in straight sets. Christie, Cartel and Brody dropped 1 set against Silva before winning a match tiebreak, and then romped through yesterday against Emily Arbuthnot. This is now the business end of the tournament, and Raducanu clearly means business. The way she has just come out very calmly here. That's no surprise to us because that is her general sort of on-court temperament. But there's a real sense of, yeah, I belong here and I'm going to do some damage, and she's already making inroads.
I think that's something that she's probably really gained from the tournaments that she's been playing recently, the domestic events. You know, these players, you know, she now knows them well. She's been able to have a crack at them here, getting a crack at Harriet Dart, who's winning matches in main draw of slams and, you know, sitting just outside that top 100. She's not played, say, a top 100 player before.
Again, can't fault the volleying skill.
But these are the opportunities that these tournaments have presented for the up-and-comers, because, you know, really the tournaments that Emma's playing on the whole, Dart wouldn't be involved in, being ranked significantly higher. Might be the odd occasion where that would happen for whatever reason, but the bulk of the year wouldn't be a likely situation.
So Dart searching at the moment in vain for her A game, but no doubt who is in pole position at the moment. Early stages, but it's Raducanu back to her chair, leading 3-love in this first set of our first women's semi-final. Harriet Dart yet to get on the board here. Raducanu taking a good lead already. But I feel this is an important game for Dart, just to try and settle into the contest. Hold the serve for the first time. Rasping cross-court forehand from Raducanu, and again beaten for pace. Dart struggling to control her response. She's going to have to find ways to do that better if she's going to get herself right into this matchup for the right to face either Eden Silver or Jodie Burridge in the final tomorrow. Didn't hold back on that, did she? Just wide.
It seems like she's feeling good.
Yeah.
She hit an awful lot of balls in her match against Beth Gray yesterday. It was, I mean, that first set, the length of rally was you know, pretty impressive. If anything's going to get you into rhythm, that will.
2 hours and 12 minutes they took.
Most of that was the first set.
Yeah. What was really impressive, I think, was the way she did come back from the loss of the first set, having saved a load of set points, got it to a normal tie break, only to lose that, and yet she didn't fade, whereas she might have done, but said she felt more in control, more consistent thereafter, managed to find a higher level, and it paid dividends. Straight back at the server with power. And she's certainly caught out by that. And once again, Raducanu threatening the break.
Yeah, serve just hasn't quite been popping, has it yet, for Dart? That one right into the slot. No surprise, that one came back with interest.
With such an angle there, Dart must have felt she was gaining the upper hand in the rally, but instead she's a further game behind, still unable to get anything on the board.
And I really like how Emma she's going with pace early on in the rally just to establish herself, and then she's finding the width, whether it's ball 3 or ball 4, and we're seeing Dart really stretching out wide. I think that is really crucial in this particular match, and something that is maybe a little different to what we saw from Raducanu yesterday.
All going her way at the moment. Too soon to panic for Dart, but there must be a sense of need to get something going here as quickly as she can. Trying to ride out the storm that's coming from the other side of the net.
starting to unravel a little bit for Dart at the moment. As you mentioned there, Barry, just things not going her way. The double faults, I think, disrupted her rhythm on the serve. And then from the back of the court, the first couple of games, actually, she looked really good from the back of the court. It was just the serve that caused the issue, which ended up with the break. Now mentally, just doesn't seem like she's kind of lost her way a bit here.
Being outplayed, no question at the moment. It's Raducanu's day so far. Many points for Dart so far, but anything right now welcome from her point of view. However, Raducanu points for a 5-love lead.
But again, I really like that shot. Just a little less pace coming, trying to come around the outside of it. I really think that's smart. And I mean, it might not be conscious from yesterday, but if she had been able to do that yesterday, it would have made life so much easier, because she can go kind of a couple of big strikes through that central channel, then get the width. Would have really disrupted the rhythm of Beth Gray. So really pleased to see that development. And
then the strong serve gives her another game, a total command of this opening set. It's the teenager who's dominating Dart right now, 5-love ahead. Harriet Dart in a spot of bother here, serving to stay in the first set already without having scored a single game. Raducanu at the far end. Well, she's talked this week of her love for motorsport, for Formula One. Did a bit of karting and motocross as a youngster. She's still a youngster, but of course now very much concentrated on her profession here. But I wonder if she's aware of the motor racing history nearby to St George's Hill, because we of course have the Brooklands site nearby. Brooklands, where they had the first purpose-built racing track built in 1907, I think it was. It's a great place to go and visit. They've still got a bit of the track there, and there's a museum, and of course they've got the Mercedes-Benz World next to it as well. So all
Nice.
sorts of wonderful cars and history from way back.
Is that what you were doing yesterday?
Yeah. I have been. It's
Oh,
great
really?
fun. Yeah, and you can go on a bit of the banking still that's there. You can't drive yourself, but you get driven around it, and that's quite an experience. Now that's well taken. Dart on the ball early. Just to get something now, even if the set is too far away from her, would be good for Dart. Anything right now,
Yeah,
positively.
She can't afford a slow start in the second. Absolutely not. So things will have to change. So good to try and break that momentum as quickly as possible. There are some changes I think she can make and get things back on track. I don't feel like Raducanu's played that well that she's overwhelmed Dart. She's played very well. Don't get me wrong, she's done everything sort of right. But Dart does have a strong game to stand up to it. She's just facing real quality every single point. You know, Raducanu's not giving her anything. So she's going to have to force her way in.
Are you one of those who holds to the mantra that better to win a set 6-1 than 6-love? Because if you win it 6-love, you can't improve on that, and things can only go the wrong way.
No, not because of that reason. I'm more comfortable actually winning a set, say 6-4, than I would be winning a set 6-love or 6-1. Only because after that, you know your opponent's going to do something dramatically different, and that's a bit disconcerting because you don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
Either they will just not make any mistakes, or they will be ridiculously aggressive. They'll try and do something to disrupt things. Whereas if it's 6-4, it's going to be kind of the same with a few tweaks.
It's another double fault. She was hoping the first serve was good down the middle, but that was wide, and then wide the other side into the tram lines. And that hands Raducanu first set point in our opening semi-final here. Dart standing hands on hips. Disconsolate figure because Raducanu has romped through the opening set. She's bageled the top seed here in the first set of this semi-final. A very fine display from Raducanu by 6 games to love, no less. Excellent work from her, Naomi.
Yeah, tremendous effort from Raducanu. She just got off and running and really just maintained. Dart unable to find a way in. I think we're going to be able to have a chat with her now.
Just sorting out the feedback.
Technical issues.
Hello?
Hey Emma, can you hear me? It's Naomi in the commentary box.
Yeah, I can hear you. Right.
Is that okay? Well, what about that first set there? Just got off and running and 6-love in the end. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I thought I got up to a good start. Just taking care of my service games and yeah, just sticking to the game plan. Just taking it 1 point at a time.
So she's a really experienced player, of course. She's been in the main draw of Grand Slams on multiple occasions. Are you expecting her to do something different in this second set now? And if so, what do you think it might be?
Yeah, of course. I mean, anytime you know, even if you just lose a set, like, you're always going to try to change something up. So yeah, I'll be expecting it. I'm not sure what it might be, but yeah, I think I'm going to try to stay ready for it.
And just one last thing before you start the second. If you could pick one thing in that first set you were the most pleased with in your game, what would it be?
Probably just my attitude, like staying committed to every ball and taking it 1 point at a time, not thinking about the score too much.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Emma.
Thank you.
Yeah, just taking it in her stride, and good to get her views mid-match. A match that has totally gone her way so far. But what might it be, she wonders, that Dart can do differently to try and stop Raducanu, giving more punishment to the Londoner. Dart, who was born in Hampstead. Of course, Raducanu originally from Toronto, but her parents moved to this country when she was a youngster. And so she's very much part of the British tennis scene, and great prospect shining here at the moment. Start of the set. Trying to pump herself up, find that intensity, harness her game, which has done so much good work this week and indeed elsewhere. But well, there we go. Finally getting some purchase out of a tough rally. But the line drive with the two-hander was the one that did for Raducanu's defence here.
They didn't put too much pace on that backhand down the line. That was the key. The placement was going to do all of the damage for Dart. I suppose it's a little bit of a good thing that Raducanu's serving first in the second set, so that she can just try and get into these rallies, get the game from the back of the court feeling good. See if she can change or make those changes that Emma is expecting her to. That was a nice little change up there from Dart. The bunt deep, not a lot of energy on it, just inside the baseline. And that's key, because if that drops shorter, say a metre or two inside the baseline, Emma will deal with it and you'll be in trouble. But to keep it back that deep with no energy at all to use, it's very easy to overhit.
Easy pickings for Raducanu there. Again, it's that width as well with the power, and it just brings back a short reply from Dart.
Overall from the umpire.
Yep.
He was very quick to get involved there.
Dart was certainly convinced her shot had made it, and the umpire has indeed sided with her. So Dart, all of a sudden, her first break point of the match, she could do with taking this. That is spot on to the corner. So easy to miss that target, that kind of ball, but she's hit it perfectly. Sonic Cartel has taken the first set 6-1 against Emily Appleton, but Appleton is 3-1 up in the second set.
almost overran that last shot there. Dart came in a little close to her shoulder. And you can see she was already lining up for the down the line one, but didn't give herself enough room for it. And if you do get into a bit of a pickle with your positioning, you can then just pull across the ball and go cross court, because you can make room doing that. But it's very difficult to make that change at the very, very last second.
So good in the first set. Not many unforced errors from Raducanu, but that disappointed her, that last forehand. Up off the side to hit that up the line, and you could see how much trouble Dart was in as a result.
She's just having to cover so much ground. The width again found by Raducanu off of the first shot, just taking a fraction of pace off to make sure that it swings away. The more pace you put on the shot, the straighter it will go. It won't turn as much. You need to give it time to move out into those difficult positions.
Well, again, so much ground. Dart having to find her way around back and forth. That time rewarded really good effort. And gets the point ultimately, but it's a tough ask to keep having to do that and come out on top. Not sure which way it's going, and Raducanu excellent there. The way she went back behind initially when Dart thought it was going up the line, and then did it the other way to finish off the point.
For me, this is even a totally different level to yesterday, which we thought was very good. This is, I mean, the application, the quality that's coming off of her racket is excellent, just as it was yesterday. But then today, she just added in that extra level of intelligence and smarts about it. She's being really precise with what she's doing. Everything is so deliberate. Just taking it up a couple of levels.
And the way she's dominating the sort of court position, she's able to get inside the baseline, and Dart is way back too often for her liking. That time she did stay her ground, was able to, but goes long on the forehand, and so it's the 7th game in succession for the 17-year-old. Numbers on that first set, Naomi.
Yeah, well, a one-sided set, going to get some pretty one-sided numbers, that's for sure. And, you know, it was 6-love Dart, you know, unable to get a game on the board. The 4 double faults there, it doesn't seem like a huge amount, but those first 2 were completely costly because she played a really good first game. And even through that second game where she put in those double faults, she looked great from the back of the court. But that just threw her a little bit, I think. And then Raducanu was feeling good, already had the advantage. And Dart was a bit on the back foot. And then she started getting a little overwhelmed and frustrated with the pace from Raducanu. And as I mentioned before, the quality of Raducanu is the highest I've seen from her, to be honest, since we've been back for domestic play. I think it really is excellent. This is a real challenge for Dart. She loves a challenge, which is good, but she needs to start getting things turning around sharpish because she's going to run out of time.
She would dearly have loved to have won that last game, having got just 8 points out of the first set. Unable to, as yet, take over the scoreboard on her side of things. So I get the feeling now that it is all getting a little desperate, certainly if she drops this next game. Raducanu trying to rattle her with another rasping forehand return. Too long, that one.
First serve so key for her here. Did not want to let Raducanu have a look because we know that Raducanu's hitting it clean.
That time, good pass back, the width, catching out Raducanu's attempt on the stretch volley. But it was a bit tricky to pull that off. She manages to, and 2 points to the good at least in this game. But again, we saw her being pushed back behind the St George's Hill club sign on the court. An indication of where she's having to go time and again as a result of the onslaught that's coming from Raducanu.
I think that's probably the first shot in this entire match that Raducanu's lost a little control of. Of course, she's missed some, she's made some unforced errors, but they've all had really good potential about them. That one just getting the contact a little wrong. Impressive to go that long at this level.
It doesn't work that time, and so Dart finally makes inroads. She's got a game, and that might just be what she needs now to settle into something better. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it, when it's just racing away from you at whatever level you're playing at, and you think, what can I do to stop this? A bit of relief, but how long will it last for? Raducanu serving 1-1, second set. Just drifted wide, but Raducanu very good, getting right down behind the ball when she had to.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you're saying about things slipping away. It's something that the women have to deal with a lot more than the men do, just because we don't have the luxury of being able to pop in a couple of 120-mile-an-hour serves and stop that momentum. You get far less or far fewer six-love sets in men's tennis than you would in the women's. And that really adds to the anxiety level, because it just means that nothing's really certain. Whereas if you, as I say, if you're a guy with a decent serve, you're pretty confident that wherever you're playing, you're going to be able to get games on the board and put yourself in some sort of situation. You can at least stop that momentum. It's not always possible. It's just a little bit easier for the guys, and for the girls, it just makes things a little more anxious, and we get matches swinging around a bit more with the momentums.
Wow. Dart convinced the serve was long, but the umpire's saying no, that was fine.
They've had one overall each now, so all square.
Dart's run at Wimbledon last year included victories over Christina McHale and Beatrice Haddad-Mayer. Ashley Barty then stepped up the level and dismissed her. It was a very encouraging week's work at the All England Club. Double fault now from Raducanu. Juice, and certainly Dart having more of a say in these Raducanu service games without yet breaking through.
Yeah, it was a bit of a jump, wasn't it? Round 2 to 3 up to the world number one. Newly crowned world number one only a couple of weeks before that.
Another barrage of great hitting from Raducanu, building up. Tremendous head of steam there as she took on every ball and eventually took away the point from Dart.
And again, I'm really showing how clearly she's thinking in the rally. Dart just wasn't losing her balance through the centre of the court. She was just absorbing the pace so nicely, coming right back at Raducanu. And so she thought, right, I'm going into the corner this time. Did that twice in a row. Got herself the short ball.
Good use of the short ball that time from Dart. Blocks this back and takes up the right position to just ease it through. No call.
That's a bit of a blow there. Umpire saying he thought it was out, but you had to call it, and Harriet didn't.
Oh dear, that's 2 mistakes then she's made in terms of judgment on the call. That serve that she thought was long. Advantage yet again for Raducanu. Appleton has hit back to take the second set against Cartel, and they are now in a match tie break, which Appleton's leading at the moment. It's all there, isn't it? Raducanu's A game today. The way she followed up the serve with a big two-hander cross, putting pressure on and then able to finish off, taking that cleanly out of the air. And well, we've seen that expression on Dart's face quite a lot today. Just a look of exasperation, disappointment that she's getting very little out of this contest. Raducanu up a set and 2-1 right now. Just joining coverage, semi-final action right here from the UK Pro Series Classic Week. Welcome along. The story of this one so far is a dominant display by Emma Raducanu taking on Harriet Dart here in your picture. Dart, the highest ranked player involved this week, and she topped her group in the round robin, but she's been outplayed for most of this match so far. The teenager. And another serve, that's part of the problem for her today. Double faults early on undermined her best efforts. Raducanu really has done well all round, and there another double fault from Dart as a result of that wayward serve. She's sort of desperately clinging on here by her fingertips, you feel, but Raducanu just not really looking troubled. She's looking so much more in tune with her game, and the strengths of that, the all-round strengths of that, are shining through. Just dropping wide that time on the cross court. But as Naomi Cavaday alongside me has said, you know, the the way she's upped the level even from yesterday's fine performance when she had to battle for a long time to get the better of Beth Gray. But it really has been a different gear from her today. That's a good serve for once from Dart.
Yeah, and the real question for Raducanu now, I mean, we've seen plenty of really good stuff so far in this match, but can she sustain it for a whole match? And can she sustain it now that Dart is playing at a higher level? She's facing down a tougher opponent. Dart really digging her heels in and starting to get things going.
Trouble. She looks very unsure of herself on the serve today. The ball toss at times, many times she's had to catch it and reload, and then she hits a serve with very little pace on it, and you know that she knows Raducanu is going to come right after it, as she did there. Crucial on these next couple of points going to be. Very tough day for Dart. Sad to see after the excellent week she's had to get into this semi-final. But again, the sort of tentative nature, the lack of belief in those shots. Hesitant and wayward. Not a good combination on a tennis court. Break point, Raducanu.
Yeah, she's just got to come up with the first serve here.
More like it.
Well, there's a reason we talk about first serve percentage so often. I think pretty much every single match I ever commentate on, you talk about it. Coaches talk about it all the time because it just releases a bit of pressure on your service games, and it is just so important, especially in the women's game. The players are so good at returning.
Nicely
done.
Yeah.
Points.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely perfect. Nailing the serve, and we just haven't seen enough of that. Everything on her serve has been, she's having to really, really work for it. Raducanu getting into a neutral position over and over again. It's incredibly draining. She can keep this going here, start getting some momentum with it.
Well, you heard her urging herself on, and we might look back on that game as a really important stage of this contest. Faced the break point, but found a way through. 2-2. I should tell you that Emily Appleton beat Sonny Cartel 10-6 in a match tiebreak. She came from a set down to win that third and fourth place encounter. So Cartel will face, sorry, Appleton will face either Naomi Brodie or Beth Gray tomorrow. They'll be on court here later. In fact, at the end of the day, the final match to be played. The next one here will be the first of the men's semi-finals. Liam Brodie up against James Ward. Also to come today, Jodie Burridge against Eden Silver in the second of the women's semis, and then the second of the men's semis will follow that between Ryan Peniston and Dan Cox.
Starting to motor now. Dart, really nice placement there with a couple of passing shots. Getting one dipping down. Just setting up the down the line shot for her. As I said at the beginning of the match, she really is a stubborn sort of character on the court, and much to her credit, very impressive with so much going against her. Superb, taking that so early, but also the fact that she's wrestled her way into this match, that she hasn't been given anything from Raducanu. She hasn't let up at all. Okay, there's a little bit of a drop in energy post that first set, but that's a pretty natural thing. It happens a lot of the time. The level is still high. Dart doing all of this good work herself.
Again, see where Dart ends up. Nowhere, basically. Too far back because she was being wrong-footed again and again. And the power, the weight of shot, the accuracy from Raducanu, too good.
Yeah, and the difference between this match and if you were with us yesterday watching Raducanu often going for the wrong footer against Gray, and it wasn't working that well because Gray has just got a lower base when she's playing, so doesn't get knocked off balance as easily. Dart just a little bit taller in her frame, so the back behind she's a bit more vulnerable to.
Angle does the job.
Not sure what Raducanu thinks she's going to get out of that. It's perfectly within the rules to move your feet when your opponent's preparing to serve. Might be annoying. They do that all the way up to the top. Muguruza, one of the standouts for me. I'm sure it would drive some servers nuts, but within the rules. Just trying to come up with something out of nothing there, Dart. Losing a little bit of patience. And I think also she's starting to feel her shots a bit nicer, so she's getting a bit more keen to kind of do something in the point, but that was just maybe the wrong shot.
The umpire had a word with her, didn't he, about that preparation in the return stance, which Raducanu had indicated previously. Not happy now, having lost that point, lost the game. Okay, not sure they're best of friends right now, but it's 3-2 Raducanu in the second set. Discussion still going on between the umpire, Jacob Miles, and Harriet Dart about that soft warning that he gave her just before the last point to do with her preparation, her movement up and down on the spot, and the noise perhaps she was making. Raducanu had complained about it earlier in the game, but seriously, Naomi, I mean, players can think of far worse examples of you know, noise and preparation and movement. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the rule...
It comes with tennis, doesn't it?
Yeah, the rule is that most of these rules are within reason. You're allowed to do lots of things within reason. And again, it's something that, yeah, some players don't move much, other players do. Some players squeak their shoes, they might move around, run around, they're trying to fake. You're trying to influence where the server goes, leaning one way, that sort of thing. And... yeah, I'm just very surprised because for me it's totally within the rules. Yes, you're not allowed to deliberately try and put them off by waving your arms around or making noise, but for me Dart wasn't close to doing that at all.
Do you remember Bruce Grobbelaar in goal, so waving his arms
yeah,
around?
Exactly, that sort of thing. You can't do that, okay? You can't be that sort of deliberate, but I mean, come on, we see Kyrgios and Federer sprint to the service line as servers are hitting serves.
But it's kind of indication of the pressure, isn't it? Firstly, that Raducanu was feeling it a bit when she made that comment. You know, was just mentally she just needed something to say at that moment. And then, of course, the pressure now on Dart, having then got the warning, or the soft warning, and the discussion with the umpire that she didn't win. And, of course, already plenty of pressure heaped on her today. Remember Squeak Gate? Do you remember Gulbis? Ernest Gulbis?
That was Gulbis, wasn't it?
With Roberto Bautista again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They were kind of polar opposites, those two on a court.
It's the same kind of with the grunting as well. It does have to be within reason, and it is the umpire's choice.
It's a lucky net cord, but she'll take it. She needs it.
And I think the reason, I mean, Harriet feels like it's a bit unjust, and I do for her as well. And I think the reason is the way that she's got herself going in this second set is by livening up the feet and kind of really slapping herself on the thigh and trying to get herself going. So you just kind of feel like, you know, it's for me, it's well within the rules. It's totally fine. I'm sure it's a little bit annoying for Raducanu, and okay, she wants to complain about it, it's fine, but just very surprised that, that any action was taken.
David Ferrer never stopped moving up and down on his feet, did he?
Yeah. Well, people will
like
run
engine,
around.
sort of,
yeah. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the match, hasn't phased her at all.
No.
Had a bit of an argument with the umpire, not happy about the situation, and comes right back out in this game, moved on. It just doesn't affect her tennis. It's an incredibly impressive element to the Dart character.
Dart getting Raducanu on the move out of her comfort zone there, and secures another game. So the one-sided first set has made way for a very competitive second. 3-all.
Yeah, and really there hasn't been a huge change from the Raducanu end. You can feel the energy's different, but that's because she's not 6-love up and completely rolling with things. But in terms of the quality, you know, still producing, just having a little bit of a harder time with the improved game of Dart, who's now talking to the umpire just before this return game, because if she were to technically break the rules again, she could end up losing a point.
Yes.
So she needs to be clear on what she's allowed to do.
So nearly have been brilliant.
It's a right shot, one of her favourite shots as well. Just a little off with the contact and execution.
That's put away and then some. She's got great sort of positive instinct on the court, hasn't she?
Yeah, keeping that one super simple.
tough to find that space.
Again, really nice level of controlled aggression from Raducanu, working in the pace and then the width and moving up the court. With a little bit of a gap to find by Dart, but she's been giving herself a bit of a hard time for missing that one.
Well, she read it. She was trying to get across for it, Raducanu, but too good from Dart, driving that one past her in the end. But still a great battle by the youngster to try and stay in the point. Well, to last as long as she did. It's really brewing up nicely, this match now. If Dart can maybe find a way through to win the set, then the match tie-break to follow that. Or can Raducanu still come through this in straight? Well, that's an indication of the power she can bring with her serve. Another one forcefully hit to the tee. And again, just further evidence of her real belief that she is going to do great things in this sport. And certainly this week, she's got her eyes on that top prize. Can she get herself to the final? She's up 4-3 in the second set, having won the first. 6-love. Raducanu and Dart doing battle in the second set of this opening semi-final. It is actually 4-3 to Raducanu. Now the scoreboard behind Raducanu's got a bit stuck. There we go. Another coin in the meter, and on we go. 3-4, Dart serving again. No breaks yet in this second set. Something that we've seen too much of from Dart's point of view. Another double fault.
They just can't shake them, really. And that really has been the one significant factor that has just made Raducanu's life that bit easier.
Look at that. That's an awesome hit from low down there. And she knew Dart was anticipating the cross court.
And what it, oh, sorry, I was just going to say what it means is that after the double fault, the first serve takes a bit of pace and placement off, goes right into the slot for Raducanu, and she did so well moving through back of that one. Didn't hit it too hard because she was coming forward so quickly.
a sudden, an ace from Dart. Nick of time, perhaps. Still behind in this game. Wow, what a shot! What a rally. Dart had done so well to come out from the left corner as she did, but Raducanu's finish here, across she goes and bang up the line.
Yeah, really anticipated it so well. One of her favourite shots, the backhand down the line. Dart just being a little central on the approach shot and left that gap available. But Raducanu just lapping that up.
Wait, ball coming back on the court, but now crunch time here, facing break points. And it just drops long. We had a fairly close look at that from the camera angle, and it means that Raducanu is now a game away from the final here at St George's Hill in Weybridge at the Lawn Tennis Club, and she is looking to finish off what has been an excellent display today. Finished runner-up to Jodie Burridge in Box B in the round robin. Now a game away from tomorrow's final, and a minimum prize of $15,000 as runner-up. Were she to win the title overall, she'd be $20,000 better off. Again, charges in, builds up some momentum there, Dart, but is beaten by a handsome pass. This time, the cross court off that two-hander.
Quite amazing to think that if Emma does wrap this up here, I mean, it's been a tremendous performance from her and a well-deserved win, but the fact that the score has been love and 3 just does not really match what we've seen out here. It's been such a good level. Still time for Dart to turn it around, but if that were the situation, it'd be extraordinary.
Dart, sure she's made that. Raducanu called it out. Dart challenged that with the umpire, and the umpire backed Dart. So 30-15. rubbing salt in the wound. Done so much damage today to Dart, and now she's a point away from beating her for good today. That fortune obviously off the net cord. All she can do is hold her hands up and say, I'm so sorry. Just over an hour and 20 minutes. These two have been on court, and for the most part, Raducanu has had the upper hand here. This to finish it off. The teenager takes her place in tomorrow's final. A fine performance from 17-year-old Emma Raducanu, the youngest player in the draw this week, but she has shown Harriet Dart the way today and seen her off. 6-love, 6-3. Excellent day's work, and well, the level yesterday was tough for her, but she did well to come through against Gray. To do what she's done today, there's almost a sense perhaps of disbelief that she has beaten Dart as handsomely as that.
Yeah, just an absolutely tremendous performance from Raducanu. So impressed with her. She took everything that she did yesterday, which was great, and we'd seen a lot of that level from her over the course of the week and through the other events as well. But then to just add that extra dimension of intelligence, smarts, strategy about it, and nail it all, and all the way through, and nailing it when Dart wasn't necessarily feeling good in the first set, nailing it again when Dart was putting far more pressure on her. Really an excellent performance from Raducanu, looking like a proper player out there, completely calm, completely unfazed, and just so good to see. Some of the best tennis I've seen from Raducanu.